We're looking at homework from section 6.2. It's question number 8. In a random sample of 22 people, the mean commute time to work was 33.5 minutes, and the standard deviation was 7.1 minutes. Assume the population is normally distributed, and use a t-distribution to construct a 95% confidence interval for the population mean, mu. What is the margin of error of mu? Interpret the results. So the first thing we have to do here is calculate degrees of freedom, because whenever we're finding values on a t-distribution, we need to know the degrees of freedom. The formula for degrees of freedom is that degrees of freedom are one less than the sample size. So the sample here is 22, so it's 22 minus 1, which is 21. So once we've got our degrees of freedom, we can go to the t-distribution table to find our critical value, Tc. So we're looking at 21 degrees of freedom and a 95% confidence interval, and we look for where those two intersect, and those intersect at 2.080. That's our critical value, Tc. Once we have our critical value, then we can move on to the rest of the problem. We have to compute the margin of error. To find the margin of error, our formula is Tc times s over the square root of n is equal to the error. So we just found the Tc value. S was given to us in the original statement of the problem, as was the value of n. So we insert those values where they belong. Error equals Tc is 2.080, s is 7.1, and n is 22. When we calculate that value, we get 3.148548179. Rounded to one decimal place is 3.1. So the error is 3.1. Once we know the margin of error, then we can find the confidence interval. The way we do that is by taking the mean and subtracting the error, taking the mean and adding the error. So it's going to be x bar minus the error and x bar plus the error. The x bar value was 33.5, so this is going to be 33.5 minus 3.1, 33.5 plus 3.1, which is going to be 30.4 and 36.6. And that is your 95% confidence interval. So now we're supposed to interpret the results. We found a confidence interval. When we find a confidence interval, what the level of confidence is it's how certain we are that the actual population value in the situation would fall within the interval that we found. So here the correct answer is A. With 95% confidence, it can be said that the population mean commute time is between the bounds of the confidence interval. It doesn't mean any of the other things. It doesn't mean that if you take a large sample, 95% of them will have commute times. That's not what that means. It can be said that 95% of people have a commute time. No. With 95% confidence, it can be said that the commute time is between the bounds of the confidence interval. That sounds very close to what part A said, but we're looking for a confidence interval for the population mean, not for the commute time, but for the population mean commute time. So that's the slight difference between A and D that makes this answer A. And that's your answer.